I remember smoke curling from the ashtray, clock ticking louder than any silence before or since. Ember, my wife, crossed arms, stared through me, not at me. Her father, Harold, grizzled, red-faced, stormed across their oversized kitchen, footsteps like hammer strikes. "You drain," he shouted, slamming fists on the marble countertop. "Everything. Constantly." Nothing returned. I tried speaking, but no syllables found breath. Heat scorched inside my ribcage. Ember said nothing. Neither supported nor opposed me. Her wineglass sat half full beside mine, lipstick mark vivid, fresh. We'd arrived earlier that day. Her mother, Cordelia, welcomed us, soft eyes, aged smile. Laughter echoed during lunch, candied yams passing around, jokes about childhood mischief. Everything appeared perfect. Until Harold returned early. I never fit within their world. Money floated between fingers here. Crystal chandeliers, imported tiles, paintings that probably cost more than our apartment lease. I, writer, dreamer, broke idealist, felt like graffiti sprayed across their white walls. Harold pointed again. "What V you given? Holidays? Missed? Birthdays? Forgotten? Vacations? Kip." Not one damn thing offered. I swallowed bitterness. "I love Ember," I whispered. He laughed. "Love? That pays bills? Buys stability." Cordelia intervened gently. "Harold, please, lower your tone." He stormed outside. Evening descended. Wind rustled hedges. Dinner turned cold, untouched. Ember finally stood. "I need air," she muttered, slipping through French doors. Alone, I cleaned dishes. Cordelia helped. "He's always been loud," she said. "Don't take it personally." But I already had. Hours passed. I wandered hallway portraits. Ember as a toddler, pigtails swinging. High school graduation, prom, first car. Then wedding photo, me standing beside her. I wasn't smiling. Neither was Harold. Suddenly, laughter erupted from the backyard. I peered out. Ember, near the fire pit, wine in hand, leaned close to someone. Male voice replied. I squinted. Harold's coworker? No, cousin maybe. Couldn't tell. Too dark. Jealousy pricked. Was I wrong to worry? Next morning, silence stretched. Ember avoided eye contact. Cordelia offered breakfast. I declined. Harold ignored me entirely. Later, I walked into town. Bought black coffee, sat near the pier. Thought about when we first met, bookstore aisle, reaching for the same battered volume of Lolita. I said something stupid. She laughed anyway. That laugh became home. We moved fast. City Hall vows, shared studio apartment, second-hand furniture. She taught yoga, I scribbled stories. Passion burned brightly. Now cold. When I returned, Cordelia met me privately. Her voice soft, hesitant. She's hurting too, you know. I can't fix what I'm not allowed to touch, I said. That night, thunder shook windows. I couldn't sleep. Left guest room, wandered dark corridors. From Harold's study, muffled sounds caught my ear. Papers rustled, then, gasp, low moan. I froze. I shouldn't have, but I opened the door. Candlelight flickered. Ember stood behind the desk, blouse undone, hair disheveled. Across from her, in Harold's leather chair, sat a man. Not Harold. Younger, stocky, tan skin, sharp cheekbones. Neither noticed me. He said, "You shouldn't call if you're not serious." She replied, "I am." He kissed her. I backed away silently, heart cracking like dry branches. Upstairs, I sat on the edge of my bed. Dawn crept slowly. I said nothing the next morning, nor the one after. But I watched. I listened. Every time she slipped away, I followed. She wasn't careful. Or maybe she wanted me to know. Harold began to soften toward me. Perhaps guilt? Cordelia, too, treated me kindly. Yet Ember vanished often, errands, calls, yoga sessions running long. Once, I followed her to the lake. She wore a scarf, not hers. Same man waited beside the dock. I remained unseen, watching through trees. They kissed. Again. I didn't cry. Instead, I returned, and when she did, I smiled. How was class? She blinked. Good. Exhausting. We made love that night. Passionate. Sweaty. She said my name with trembling lips. For a moment, I believed her. But her eyes never closed. And she never said, I love you again. Rain slicked window panes while thunder echoed across hilltop. My breath fogged the glass. I stood motionless, gripping lukewarm tea Ember handed me minutes earlier, chamomile, untouched. She hummed from upstairs. Delicate, artificial. Notes struck too perfectly, rehearsed like a lullaby covering fractures. Her deception lingered on my collarbone, embedded like perfume. Still, I played husband. We stayed longer than expected, weeks instead of days. Cordelia insisted. Harold tolerated me now, occasionally offering nods, handshakes, even cigars. Strange, after everything, Ember's affair remained invisible to them. One evening, Harold invited me into his workshop. Antique tools lined the walls, gleaming blades, rust-free wrenches, meticulous order. He handed me bourbon, poured his own. Silence sat between us, brittle. Finally, he spoke. First impressions cut deeper than words, he said, gazing toward half-finished wooden models. I judged quickly. Maybe wrong. I nodded, unsure what to say. Still, you seem distant lately, he continued. Ember too. I stiffened. Relationships evolve. Quiet doesn't mean broken. He laughed dry, low. Maybe not. Maybe yes. That night, Ember joined me under quilts, thigh brushing mine. Her breath against my neck stirred embers I tried smothering. I kissed her collarbone, traced fingers down her spine. She responded, urgently, desperately. I wanted to believe it meant something. That I still meant something. But afterward, she cried. Bad dream, she lied, pulling covers over her face. I didn't answer. Next afternoon, Harold threw a party. Family reunion, he called it. Strangers filled the house. Laughter spilled down halls, glasses clinked, children darted beneath adult feet. Ember vanished upstairs before dessert. I followed minutes later. Doors lined the hallway. I paused outside the guest room I once occupied. Murmurs floated beneath the frame. Low, breathy. I didn't knock. I pushed. There she was, again, with the same man. This time shirtless, lying beside her. My wife sat atop him, head thrown back, hair cascading wildly. I didn't speak. Didn't flinch. Just stared. He noticed first. Eyes widened, muscles tensed. Wait, he began. I turned, shutting the door behind me. Back downstairs, I poured whiskey. Cordelia approached. Everything all right? She asked. I smiled. Never better. Later, Ember joined the festivities, laughing louder than anyone, lipstick reapplied, hair brushed into order. I watched her dance with Harold's cousin, James, I finally learned. So that was his name. Nobody else saw. Or they pretended not to. I began writing again. Poems, short vignettes, scenes about betrayal draped in metaphors. Words bled from me like open wounds. Fiction cloaked truths I couldn't say aloud. Cordelia read them. These are sad, she said one afternoon, sitting beside me on the patio. Life imitates art, I replied. She glanced sideways. Or maybe art confesses what we hide. Her words clung to my ribs. Days passed. Ember continued her charade. Morning yoga turned into evening cocktails. Each night, she returned late, cheeks flushed, smelling like someone else's cologne. Still, I said nothing. Until one Tuesday. She entered our shared bedroom humming that same fragile tune. I sat on the bed, journal open. Where were you? I asked, voice steady. She paused. Studio ran over. Studio closes at 6. She blinked, then forced a smile. We had a meeting. With James. Silence fell like an axe. I closed the notebook. How long? I asked. She Saturday, I didn't plan. Answer. Her eyes glistened. Since before the wedding. My stomach twisted. Why marry me? I thought I could stop. I wanted to want only you. But you didn't. Tears streaked her cheeks. She reached for my hand. I withdrew. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I stood. "Sorry doesn't undo lies." She begged me to stay. Said she'd end it. Said James meant nothing. But her voice trembled too precisely, too rehearsed. That night I slept on the couch. The next day I packed. Cordelia caught me near the stairs. "Leaving?" "Yeah." "Because of Ember?" "Because of everything." She nodded. I knew. I turned. "What?" "I saw. I always knew." "Then why?" "Because families survive on silence. And yours isn't the first story like this." Her words haunted me. Harold never said goodbye. Ember didn't follow. I left behind my wedding ring, notebook, and the half-empty bottle of bourbon Harold gave me. Some stories write themselves. Others must be burned before they destroy everything. City lights blinked like bruised stars through my windshield as I entered the outskirts. I'd driven without destination, letting every turn right itself. Thoughts spun, chased by echoes from that house, her cries, his body, Cordelia's half-truths. Asphalt disappeared beneath tires, just as Ember had beneath James. No contact since my departure. Not one apology, message, explanation. Nothing. Emptiness curled into me, slicing wider than betrayal ever could. I checked into a dusty motel tucked behind an abandoned diner. One bulb flickered above the office. The clerk barely looked up while sliding a key across the counter. Room smelled like cheap pine cleaner. Wallpaper peeled at corners. Still, silence welcomed me better than Ember's lips ever had. For 3 days I wrote. Poured every heartbreak, every whisper, every lie onto hotel stationery. Page after page. Vengeance masked as fiction, lust tangled with sorrow. Then she arrived. Not Ember. Not Cordelia. Someone else. Her name was Violet. Rain brought her inside the diner as I nursed black coffee beside the fogged window. Leather jacket, messy auburn braid, notebook under one arm. She sat 2 stools down. "You alone too?" she asked without looking up. I nodded. "Always." "Same." We didn't speak again until dessert. She ordered cherry pie. I watched her eat, slow, deliberate, almost sensual. Maybe it was just hunger, or maybe her mouth had learned how to make pain disappear. She caught me staring. "Like what you see," she teased. "Not sure yet." "Honest. That's rare." I laughed. "First time in weeks." She leaned closer. "Come back tomorrow. I'll be here." And she was. Every night after that, we talked. About everything: films, poetry, ugly scars, dying mothers, failed dreams. She never asked about Ember. I never offered. One evening, she touched my hand. I didn't pull away. Another, she leaned closer, whispered, "Let's stop pretending." We walked through puddles back to the motel. Her boots splashed quietly. My heart thundered. She closed the door behind us, turned slowly, lips parting. She said nothing. Neither did I. She unzipped her jacket. Dropped it. Then the rest. Under flickering yellow light, Violet shed every barrier. I followed. Our mouths collided, need, fury, grief, all at once. No declarations, no promises. Just bodies unraveling, seeking release from loneliness. Her skin was warm, real, grounding. We didn't make love. We made defiance. Afterward, she traced circles across my chest. "Still hurting?" she asked. "Always." She nodded. "Good. Means you're still human." We became something, undefined, fragile, temporary. A ritual against forgetting. Violet never asked for more. I never promised it. But she gave freely what Ember never could, clarity. Weeks passed. One afternoon, I returned from the diner to find an envelope slid beneath my door. No stamp, no address. Just my name. Inside, Ember's handwriting. Lines curved carefully like apologies drawn in blood. She wrote about dreams unraveling. Regrets, shadows, broken trust. Said James left her too. Said Cordelia cried every night. Said Harold had a stroke. No sympathy stirred. Only rage. Then, final words. Come home. We need to talk. I crumpled the letter. Violet knocked minutes later. I didn't tell her. Instead, I kissed her harder than usual. She knew. Going back? She asked that night. Maybe. You won't find answers there. Maybe I don't want answers anymore. She nodded. Then go anyway. The next morning, I left without waking her. The road curved like old wounds reopened. Familiar trees swayed in quiet judgment. Their house loomed ahead, unchanged. Beautiful. Hollow. Cordelia opened the door. Her face aged. Eyes heavy. You came. I had questions. Then come inside. I stepped through, uncertain whether I'd survive what waited behind those perfect white walls. Cordelia stepped aside. Her silence filled rooms louder than arguments ever could. Familiar hallways reeked of lemon wax and resignation. Everything looked identical, yet dead. No laughter. No warmth. Only shadows stretching along polished floors. Ember stood near the fireplace, arms crossed beneath a cashmere shawl. Her eyes didn't meet mine. You got my letter, she said flatly. I nodded. Harold sat nearby, thinner, pale. A cane rested beside his recliner. His stare bore through me, unreadable. No fury this time. Just weariness. I cleared my throat. Why call me back? Ember hesitated. Because I never explained. And I thought maybe. Redemption? No, she whispered. Understanding. I walked past her, stood beside a photo, our wedding day. She wore ivory. I wore navy. Everyone looked happy. Lies framed behind glass. I can't pretend anymore, I said, voice firm. You cheated. Repeatedly. You let me rot inside your father's home while. I know, she interrupted. I know what I did. Do you? Her voice cracked. You stopped being present. Stopped seeing me. I laughed bitterly. You disappeared long before I ever did. Cordelia interjected softly. Sometimes people collapse quietly. One moment at a time. I turned toward Harold. What do you think? He exhaled. Hate's easy. But it won't rebuild anything. Not you. Not her. Not this damn house. I wasn't seeking reconciliation. Only truth. James? I asked. Gone, Ember replied. Months ago. Moved west. Didn't even say goodbye. Appropriate. She stepped closer. Her eyes, once oceans, were now empty wells. I miss who we were. Before life became this. I didn't answer. She continued. I see you with someone else now. I can feel her in your silence. Violet. Her breath caught. Does she love you? I don't know. Do you love her? I don't know that either. We stood, inches apart, years between us. No apologies could fill that space. No embraces could heal what we'd allowed to rot. You came for closure? She asked. No, I replied. I came to bury the corpse you keep dressing up as marriage. That's when Harold rose, slow, trembling, steady. He crossed the room, stood in front of me. Then do it, he said. I met his eyes. He didn't flinch. Say it, he demanded. Say you're finished. I'm finished. The room grew still. Cordelia placed her hand on Ember's shoulder. You should leave, Ember said finally. I already have. I walked out, past the front door, down the drive, through years, toward something not yet defined. Months later, I saw Violet again, randomly at a gallery. She stood beneath a canvas, red brushstrokes, chaotic, beautiful. She turned, surprised, smiled. Hey, stranger. Hey. You look better. I feel worse. That's progress, she winked. I walked her home. We didn't kiss. We didn't undress. We just sat, drank coffee, talked about weather. Sometimes survival isn't loud. Sometimes love isn't loud either. But it's honest. And that's enough.